I'm sure y'all have plenty of questions, and I'm sure we won't answer all of them, but we will if you'll come and ask us. There's so much to tell, and I'll just confess, I'm a preacher's kid, so I talk a lot too. And that's just the way I grew up. I'm not getting in front of that hot mic. To start off with, this is also one of our teammates, Vivian Bradford. She came with us tonight. And I'm Donna Mosier, and this is Anthony Mosier. And we're part of your Central Florida Panhandle Operation Christmas Child team. And there's several parts to the team. We have a prayer team, so that we've got somebody praying for us all the time, and Vivian is on that team. We have a church relations team, which I'm on the church relations team, and we try to get out into the churches and let y'all know how we can help y'all, because that's our job. Our job is to help you, to encourage you, to come alongside you. I'm also the media coordinator, so if you've seen it in the newspaper or on TV, it's probably my fault. But I'm new to that one. My husband is on the community relations team, which kind of goes with the church, but we do like events, missions events in churches and things like that, but we also do like Easter egg hunts.
Right, and trunk or treat and things like that,
yeah,
where we get the word out about Operation Christmas.
Yeah, all we're doing is, giving out information, but we want to do whatever it takes to help y'all be able to get things done. You go ahead and do that. You lead some word of prayer.
Yes. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for all you've given us, especially your Son, what he did for each and every one of us. We're so thankful that we have an opportunity to come together tonight. There are many who would love to be in church tonight, but it's just not possible for one reason or another. In some countries, they can't even mention the name of Jesus without being persecuted even to death these days. We're so thankful that we can come and freely lift up the name of Jesus. We're thankful for each and every one that's here tonight. And dear Lord, we want to thank you so much for this opportunity for us to spread the word through Operation Christmas Child, to help each and every person to understand how they can be a missionary right from where they are. We're thankful for all the people that work in this ministry. We're thankful for this church and all the churches that are represented here tonight. Help us all to be the light that we need to be right here. We're so thankful for the opportunity to be able to share your word. Thank you so much for all you've given us, and thank you for this time. Thank you for the blessings this past year, and we're looking forward to a great year of serving you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I first want to tell you a little bit about Operation Christmas Child, because a lot of people think that it's just a shoebox gift. And that is a big part of it. But that shoebox gift is actually an inroads to be able to teach these people about Jesus. And this is really what I'm supposed to do at the end, but I'm doing it. When somebody gets a shoebox in another country, okay, they get their shoebox, and along with their shoebox, part of that $9 shipping charge, it does several things. It's shipping, of course, and sometimes that's a boat, sometimes that's a bus, sometimes that's an elephant, sometimes it's a boat, sometimes it's a plane. It's a lot of different things, so it's a lot of different costs to get those boxes. And I will tell you that we actually took a box, a friend of ours took a box, an empty, regular go box is what we call them, for gospel opportunity. And they took it to the post office empty and said, how much would it take to send this to Uganda? They said it'll take $64. One empty box. So $9 a box is a deal, especially when you know what all that $9 goes for. It goes for that. It also helps to rent the facility that's where they're processing them, the processing centers. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, the biggest thing that it does is it helps to train those in-country pastors so that they can do the greatest gift and the greatest journey. The greatest gift, every child who gets a shoebox gets this. This is the greatest gift. It tells them that somebody in another country loved them enough to pack that shoebox for them. But on top of that, they get to find out that the greatest gift that they can receive is Jesus. And they get this to take home with them. after they get this to take home with them, and that pastor goes through this with them, speaks their language, you know, and has lots of little definitions in here, but neat little book. Please come look at it when we're done. But at the end of the Shoebox distribution, they've opened their boxes. They're so happy they've got a gift, probably for the first and only time they'll ever get a gift their whole life. Because unless there's some natural disaster, Operation Christmas Child does not go back to the same area for 15 years. Because they want that youngest child that got a box to be ineligible to get one the next time.
Well, just think about the numbers of how many children there are in the world that have never heard about Jesus. On the continent of Africa, there are more children under the age.
There are 453 million children under the age of 14. In the United States, there are 322 men, women, and children. So if every person in the United States packed a box, it would not be enough just to service the children on the continent of Africa under 14.
India is the same way. There are more kids under the age of 14 in India than there are people in the United States right now. That's amazing that there's that much need out there. That's why there's not enough shoe boxes to go around. There's so many countries that need them right now.
And then after they get that shoebox, a lot of people don't know this part, and it's my favorite part. After they get that shoebox, they've had this opportunity. They've gotten to hear about Jesus, but that in-country pastor invites them to come back for a 12-week discipleship course that's called The Greatest Journey. And that's what this looks like. It's the greatest journey. It tells them very simple things, but it tells them, for instance, how would you tell somebody, what follow me means? Follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. What does follow me mean? What does cross mean? What does redemption mean? This helps teach them that all the way through. There's also a guide for a teacher. This is part of your $9 now that goes for the shipping. If they go through this 12-week discipleship course and they graduate at the end of it, they put a cap and gown on, they have a graduation ceremony, and they get a New Testament in their own language for their very own self. That's part of what your $9 does. So that $9 is really going a long, long way. And you, by packing a shoebox and giving a child this opportunity, you have become a missionary big time. And one of the stories, I'll let him tell it, I guess. I'm talking too much. do the story about the little boy who got his box and threw it away. Remember that one? Okay. It was on the continent of Africa in one of those countries, and this little boy had gone to get his shoebox. Well, he wasn't going to get his shoebox, he went to school. They gave him out of school. And he had his little shoebox, and he could remember what the medicine man said. Don't open that box. If you do, an evil spirit will come inside you. You have to throw that box away. You can't have that box. You throw it away, or evil spirit's going to come into you. So he didn't want anybody to say anything to him, so he ran home, threw it in the garbage can. Well, some people saw that and went and told the people that had been there for the distribution. And they went to the house and they knocked on the door and they came in and they told there was a mama and a daddy and this little boy and his younger sister who was young, and she didn't go to the shoebox distribution. And they got there and they started telling them about Jesus. And just that Jesus wanted, people from the other side of the world cared enough about them, loved them enough, that they wanted them to have this box. And the reason they wanted them to have this gift was because Jesus loved them so much. But he also loved them. They just shared the gospel with them. The man sat stony-faced. The mama sat stony-faced. The little boy sat stony-faced. So now, if any of y'all would like to hear more about Jesus, or to ask Jesus into your heart and make him your Savior, then just, let us know. We'll talk to you more about it. The little girl who was halfway hid, stepped out, said, "I would like to know." They shared with the little girl who broke down the walls so that her little brother went back out and got his box and opened his box. Mama was saved. Daddy was saved. They went and told the medicine man. The medicine man was saved. Before long, the whole village just about was saved from one box. So don't think your one box doesn't make a difference. Your one box makes a huge difference. So just think about the multiplication, because they've done some statistics and things like that, and they figure off of one box there are at least an additional 7 more touches off of that one box. So what you've done is really big. Don't think, well, I just did this one little box or 2 little boxes or whatever. Each box counts big time.
And many of us would love to go somewhere to a foreign country or something, or go on a missions trip, but let's face it, the expense of that, the time, and some of us physically, financially can't do those kind of things. But this is a way, with just a small gift, that you're being a missionary. And you're sending this somewhere in the world. God knows exactly where it's going. We have many, many stories of the right shoebox getting to the right kid, exactly where it needs to be, and whole villages getting saved, just all kinds of turnaround of people with the gospel coming through this one small gift. We've met many people which are called full circle of kids who have gotten shoeboxes who now are grown up. We had one come to our church and speak who was in Romania, and she got a box when she was in an orphanage. In Romania, if the parents couldn't afford to take care of their kids, they put them in an orphanage. Her brother was put in 2 different orphanages. She had many, many stories of just being able to tell her story now, how many people have come to Christ by hearing what's happened to her through the sharing of this gift, this simple gift that she got. And we've met people at the processing center, which we'll talk about a bit too this year, of what they went through. This young lady said that in their family there were 9, and the kids couldn't go to school if they didn't have school supplies. She didn't get to go to school until she was 9 years old.
Which is when she
finally got a shoebox and had school supplies in it, so she got to go to the 1st grade when she was 9 years old. They had shared 2 toothbrushes all their life until they got shoebox. And I mean, it's just unbelievable the things that go on throughout the world that we don't really know how bad they've got it in some of these countries, especially when they never get to go to school unless they have their own school supplies, and just all kinds of things that have happened because of the shoe boxes. I'm going to tell you one quick story that really stuck out to me that Mr. Franklin Graham put into this. Of course, this is non-denominational. It's all about getting Jesus to these kids. And kids in countries all over the world, they're not going to argue about doctrine. It's not important to them, some of the things that people will argue about in this country that we get so hung up on, different things. But kids don't know. When they get to hear the gospel, they get Jesus in their heart. And many of them go on to serve the Lord. The story that sticks out to me, y'all remember a guy named Saddam Hussein? He was in power, and shoeboxes came to his country. And his customs said, no, none of these boxes are going out to these churches. We're going to hold them. And on Saddam Hussein's birthday, we're going to give them out so everybody will see what a great dictator he is. Well,
and they did just that.
When his birthday came, they handed out the boxes. A family in Texas had included their name, address, a picture of them in their box. We encourage that, and especially an email address. Many times a missionary will have a computer or something where the people that receive the boxes can contact you by email. So it's a good thing to do. Well, this family from Texas had done that. Well, there was one particular family that had a little girl that had a rare blood disorder. And if she didn't get the medicine that she needed, which was not available in that country, she was going to die. Her parents wrote the people who sent the shoebox in Texas. They didn't know how to handle it. When they got the letter, they said, what can we do? They contacted Samaritan's Purse, which is the parent of Operation Christmas Child. Franklin Graham got a hold of him. He called his friend There was a doctor who goes in and out of Iraq a lot, and he said, when are you going back into the country again? And he said, tomorrow. He said, is there any way you can get this particular medicine and get it to this family? And he said, Franklin, I'll do it. He got the medicine to the family, and that child was saved. The whole family got saved because of that one shoebox gift. What Saddam meant for bad, God had a good purpose for it. And it's just amazing how many times that's happened.
And then there was also, I have to tell you, of this side of the shoebox story. There was this lady, and she had lost her husband recently. She was alone at home, and a neighbor of hers that went to church with her said, you know, I wish you would just get into this Operation Christmas Child thing. Help us pack some shoeboxes. You would love it. And she said, no, I just don't think I can. You know, not this year. I just don't, you know, it's not, my heart's not in it. I can't do it this year. And so next time she saw her, she said the same thing. You know, this it'll bless your heart. You know, just do a shoebox. Well, I just don't think I can. So she came back to her again and again and again. Finally, she said, just give me the shoebox. Just give me the shoebox. And she said she just went to the store and she just bought this and this and this and this and this and just stuck it in there. And she said that night she got into bed and she said, Lord, I'm really glad that I went ahead and packed that shoebox for so-and-so. And God won't let her sleep. Said, did any of that mean anything to you? Did you pray for that child that you were doing that shoebox for? Because, you know, I'm going to send it to the right person. But did you pray about it? And she said, well, you know, no, I didn't. The rest of the night she laid awake, worried about that stupid shoebox. You know, she got up the next morning. She took the shoebox. She went to the store. She said, I'm going to let the Lord lead me on what I'm supposed to put in that shoebox. Well, she gets over there, and she's going through the store, and the Lord leads her to this doll that's way too big to go in that shoebox. She said, it's not going to fit in that little shoebox. It's just not going to fit. And so she said, she got the doll, and she's walking around the store with the doll, and this lady walks up to her and says, what are you doing? She said, I'm packing a shoebox. And I don't have a big enough box because this is what I've got to put in that box. She said, well, let's go up to the shoe department and let's see if they have any boot boxes. Because a lot of times people just wear the shoes on out of the store. Maybe they've got some extra boxes. So she goes in and walks her over to the shoe section. They talk to the shoe person, and the shoe person says, no, I don't have any boxes. You know, I understand your dilemma because I pack shoe boxes too, you know, but I just don't have any boxes that big. I don't have any boot boxes. And so the lady's kind of dejected and she's trying to figure out what she thinks she needs to do. And there's this lady on the other aisle who was buying a box that had boots in it. And she came over there and she said, I heard what you said. I pack shoe boxes too. I'm going to be buying these boots. You can have my boot box. And so then she went all through the store getting really using the leading of God to decide what she was going to pack into her shoebox. So she did all of that and ended up packing a second shoebox because it lifted her spirit so much. So it does minister to us too. We actually buy all year long for shoeboxes. And the Lord gives us deals like you would not believe. We'll leave the house and I'll say, Lord, just go before me, and if there's a deal, show it to me. We have got so many people that we can walk into those stores and they say, hold on a minute, I got a deal for you. And you'll wait and they'll get rid of their customer, whoever their customer is, and they'll come around with their little scanner saying, this is on sale, and this is on sale, and this is on sale. Oh, I meant to call you the other day because such and such is on sale. I saved you some in the back. You know, we get that kind of thing all the time. Anthony was in Walmart and a lady from another store said, hey, I've got you two bags of donation. I need you to come by. And then you get there and they do things like they've got some kind of coupon or something. And I said, and we'd already used our coupon on the first order that we did. And she said, oh, hold on, I think I got one on my phone. You know, people are more, and two, you can do things like wait for things to go on sale. buy all year long, but, you know, there's gonna be a time they're gonna, like January, they're gonna have white sale. Buy pillowcases, buy washcloths, and things like that. You know, last year we went to several Dollar Generals because they had 4 packs of little mittens, and we ended up getting them for like 15 cents for 4. You know, so every kid that we sent, because most of the boxes this year from Atlanta went to, well, they all went to warm weather countries, but most of them went to the continent of Africa. No mistake that one of the biggest statistics they give us had to do with the continent of Africa. You know, but you've got all of these kind of things going on, and you just let the Lord lead you.
Yeah, we found out someone questioned us about sending mittens and shoeboxes. They use them for getting things out of the oven. I mean, they can use them in so many different ways. God's been directed in the right way.
I have been amazed by the things that people use things for. I mean, I've seen them. There's a Facebook page, if any of y'all want to look at it. It's the official Operation Christmas Child Project Leaders page. Go on that page, and I mean, it tells you, people will tell you when something's on sale. Hey, go to such and such a store, they've got a sale on this. Or such a, wait till after a holiday and hit the different stores, and they're marking things down 50-70% off. You know, and you can end up getting 3 or 4 times as much as you want. We walked into one store last year, and I was hunting underwear. 2 years ago, I'm sorry, y'all, it's just the way it is. 2 years ago, I did sewing boxes. And I actually cut out 5x5 things of material and put everything that the child would need to make a quilt or whatever they wanted to with that, because I figured the older girls are going to be into that, you know. And so we sent sewing boxes. All of our sewing boxes went to hard-to-reach areas, which means they can't tell you where they went because it's dangerous to tell. He's going to show you. Last year we sent toolboxes.
About the size of a shoebox. We got these when they were marked down, and also Vivian had told us about going to IKEA and getting these. What were they? About $8?
Yeah.
About $8 for all the tools. I went to Harbor Freight and spent more than $8 to get enough of the tools. But on top of the tools, we also put washcloth, toothbrushes, soap, you know,
Electrical tape.
We found that with the sewing boxes and with the toolboxes, to save the medicine bottles, take the wrapper off. You can put nails and screws, needles, whatever you need in there. That way, when they inspect it, it goes through. We did a lot of fishing kits this year. We put together little fishing kits in the medicine bottles. I mean, they can find a hole anywhere, you know, if they got everything to fish with. But the toolboxes was a great idea, and we figured the older boys, they may be making a living for their family somewhere. So it's a good idea of another example of something you can do. We brought a lot of examples of things we've done that you can look at. And one thing that we have got...
Looks simple, doesn't it? I want to show you what we do with this. These are at CVS, but they're also at a lot of other places too. And they're $1. But if you happen to have, you know, the little coupons and stuff where it's 30% off, you know, for X number of days, and then sometimes it's something else off and something else. And sometimes if you get your medicine there, you'll get $3 off or $5 off or something. That's 5 toothbrushes, normally just $1. Before anything's taken off, you can take this off and you've got a cup. You can take this off and you got a cup. So you got 2 cups that you can send cups in the boxes, as well as all the toothbrushes to go with it too. So, I mean, Lord just, I don't know how many of these we've done, and Anthony said, well, that's 2 cups. That's 2 cups right there. You know, but the Lord will show you. He'll direct you on what to do, you know.
A lot of people are concerned about packing the box wrong. There's just a few things you shouldn't put in there. Toothpaste is one now. We had to stop toothpaste because it has an expiration date. In countries that do not want the gospel,
Like Uganda.
We just found out that last year's boxes are just now going into Uganda because the customs held them up. Candy is another thing that over time you don't know how long it's going to be sitting in the heat. In a container, excuse me. But it can be sitting for a long time, and that candy could spoil everything in the box. So that's really the only things, you know, liquids, candy, and toothpaste we can't take anymore. And this year we saw a lot of toothpaste at the processing center that I wish I had a penny for every one. And bought a lot of boxes.
A lot. And I'll tell you this because I know y'all are interested in some of the statistics. At Shiloh, just because that's where most of the boxes from around here go initially, it was up over 1,000. There were 2,962 boxes that left from Shiloh. And then in Lynn Haven, which is like the hub of where everything around here goes to before it goes to Atlanta, there's more trickled in, but the last official count was 18,808 from our 6-county area. Okay, and our 6-county area is Holmes, Washington, Jackson, Calhoun, Gulf, and Bay counties, and then Apalachicola likes us enough that they come in with us too.
Another statistic is every 24 hours, more than 31,000 children get to hear the gospel through these shoebox outreach events. And last year, with last year's numbers, 1.6 million kids
that went through this.
That went through the greatest journey, accepting Christ as their Lord and Savior.
So that's worth all of it.
That's worth all of it.
That's worth every single song.
That equates to about every 20 seconds a child accepts Jesus. Isn't that amazing? That
because of the boxes that you put together. And from the Atlanta Processing Center, and Vivian was actually there the day that they processed the last box, there were 1,418,000 boxes that went out from Atlanta. So, y'all were a part of that.
We're so excited about smaller churches getting involved. It's amazing to me how a lot of our smaller churches have more of a heart for this than our bigger churches. We got a church that is dear to our heart over in Kerrville. It has 30 members. How many did they do this year?
I don't remember this year.
I think they told me 150 or something.
I think it was 150 is what they did.
Last year they did 80.
150.
Well,
You're there? Okay.
And we got one in Clarksville, Little Big Church, that this is their main missions focus.
All
It
year
has been
long.
all year long. They do fundraisers, they do bake sales, they do barbecues to raise money for the shipping and everything. This year they did over 1,000 boxes in that little bitty church. And it's amazing.
They told me at Kerrville that they, at Vacation Bible School, they did a dime
Right.
jar or something.
Yep.
And they started collecting dimes at Vacation Bible School.
Well,
I thought that was awesome.
a lot of Bible schools do things like, how you have a lot of them have different things brought in on different days, especially if they're doing like, the pregnancy care center or something like that, you bring in baby powder this day, bring in baby shampoo this day, and they do bring in a bath cloth, bring in a pack of pencils, bring in, these different little things. And we'll be more than happy if y'all want to have like a packing party or something like that to come and help y'all with that and help you get it all, together and stuff like that. We love doing this. This is our heart. And I think for the first time, I think in my life, and I'm old, for the first time in my life, I think I am I told somebody this up at the processing center, right smack dab in the middle of where God wants me to be right now.
Amen.
Because this is, the stories that we hear is just absolutely amazing. If you want a really good devotional, this is Franklin Graham's book for the first 20 years.
You're right.
First 20 years of Samaritan's Purse. It's his story, but he's got one after another of different stories. One more, I got to tell one more. I'm sorry, y'all, I apologize. But to show you how God sends that box to exactly the right person. One of my favorite stories in this book is in the very early times when they were going into Bosnia, and Bosnia had just been bombed to pieces. And there was like a piece of the hospital that was left, and they had children in that hospital. That's just about all they had was children. And at that time, they didn't put boy, girl on the box. They didn't put age ranges. They didn't put any of that. It's just a brightly covered box. And so there was one box that was a little bit larger than the rest, but it had brown paper on it. It wasn't attractive. So they kept pushing it back. And they were trying to get the kids the brightly colored boxes. And so they were going up and down the halls, and somebody came over to one of the women that was with the distributions and said, would you please just go and sit and talk with this lady and see if you can find a box for her. Her home's been bombed out. She has nowhere to go home. Her husband has been killed. Her children have been killed. It's just her, and she's just delivered, you know. And she's over there, you know, in a room all by herself, despondent. You know, what does she do now? You know, how does she make a living for herself? Where does she call home? What does she do? And immediately that round paper box popped in her head. And she went scurrying all over the place trying to find that box. And she found that box and she took it back to that woman. She didn't know why. That's just what the Lord led her to do. And she took that box back and she put it in front of that lady, and she, you know, didn't speak the language or anything, but let her know this box is for you. And she opened up the box, and there were 2 layettes, one blue and one pink, because she just delivered twins. There are no mistakes, y'all. God sends those boxes exactly to who they want to. And I don't know why the Lord led me this year, and I'll never probably know the reason why. But, you know, it starts at age 2. But somebody else had bought some clothes because Dollar General had buy one outfit and get 2 free. So how do you pass that up? And this person had given us some clothing, and there was some infant clothing in it. And just before a packing party that we did, I went and I took those things out, and I said, no, you know, that might go to somebody that's 4 and they can't wear that, not thinking that it's not about me. And but I took it out and I laid it on the table, and I went about doing what I was doing, and I came back, and there appeared next to these 2 boy outfits, identical outfits, 2 little things of wipes. Don't know where they came from, but there was 2 small packages of wipes. And I just looked up and I said, okay, God. And so I went down the thing and I started picking out, and wouldn't you know, there's like, you know, 2 cups that look just exactly alike, and 2 of this that look just exactly alike, and 2 of these that look just, and 2 stuffed animals that look just exactly alike. And I just started all of a sudden picking up all these things that were identical and made a box. And I just put on the outside of it, infant. It's in that box. I don't know who it's for, but I feel very strongly there's somebody who's got 2 little boys who's going to be getting that box. And it'll just go to the right people. I had to learn that several years ago at the processing center when I had my knee replacement surgery and was sitting. There's something for everybody to do. You don't have to stand the whole time, you know, or anything like that. There's always something there for you to do. And I was helping, like, roll up T-shirts and put rubber bands around them so they fit in there. And they tell you just exactly how to fold things to get them to fit in the box and all that sort of stuff. And there was these huge coloring pages, and you were supposed to get 3 coloring pages, and you folded it just a certain way, and it fit just right inside of that box and not take up hardly any room at all. So I was doing that, but type A, control freak me. I'm sitting there, you know, this is Adora, and this is Adora, and that's He-Man. Move He-Man out of the way and hunt for another Dora or another female, because I was going to put 3 girl things together. And 3. Now, I had no idea what box those was going to go into. I didn't know if it was going in a boy box. I didn't know if it was going in a girl box, but I thought I had to control the thing. And this sweet little lady who'd been coming for years looks over at me and she said, honey, what are you doing? And I told her what I was doing. She said, honey, don't worry about that. If you've got 2 girl things and 1 boy, that 1 boy is probably a brother to those 2 girls that's going to get those other pictures. We don't need to worry about what goes in those boxes except that we do what God tells us to do.
Right. What she's talking about is the filler items at the processing center. When we get the boxes up there that have the toothpaste or shampoo or whatever, we take those out, but then people donate things, or we send things a lot of times to put back in those boxes to make sure it's a good full box. Because we will make sure every child, you know, when they go to hand them out, they have, you know, good full boxes, and it's a blessing to each one of them. The processing center is something that happens, is it the day after Thanksgiving?
No, it
The
starts Tuesday before
It's
Thanksgiving.
usually before Thanksgiving. It opens in Atlanta, and it runs until they run out of boxes, which is approximately December 16th. Our church goes every year. First Baptist in Chipley goes, and Shiloh Baptist goes, and there's always spots available if somebody wants to go. It's always like a Friday night and a Saturday morning, and then we come home. You just have to pay for one night's motel room, and then wherever we eat. And Chick-fil-A comes there. Chick-fil-A is a partner with Operation Christmas Child. They come and feed you there at the processing center. You can buy their products there at the processing center. The processing center will change your life if you get to go. It's really something that you might want to think about doing as just a short-term missions trip to go and see a little bit more of how Operation Christmas Child works and how big it is. I mean, in Atlanta, we do over 1 million boxes every year. It's amazing to see what a well-oiled machine it's become. Over the years, we've made more and more improvements to make it run smoother and be able to process more boxes. But there's something for everybody to do there. The filler items, there's an area where people can sit, fold things, rubber band things together.
And I took a picture of this one lady. I want to grow up to be just like her. She came with her own folding chair so that, she like had to do this. And she was sitting there because the stations that you have, one of the jobs is to open up take the rubber bands off of the box, open the box up and look for any monetary contributions, and then there's a lock box that you stick that down, and that was her job. And she was sitting on her chair, and I took pictures of her because I just thought that was the neatest thing. She thought about that. I want to contribute, and all I need is a chair.
Another thing to think about is, even if you don't have the shipping, but you can do a box, please do a box. Other parts of Samaritan's Purse will make up the difference when we don't have the shipping for all the boxes. We never turn a box away. If someone takes the time to buy this stuff and to pray about sending a box to a child somewhere, please accept that box and let us know. And we are available all year long. We have a website. We have our own Facebook now, which will give you a lot of ideas of where to buy things, because we get notifications from some of our other members. Sometimes we'll be sitting at home and all of a sudden we'll get a thing that says, go to
So-and-so on sale today, go now.
Go to Dollar General right now. The day after Valentine's, we were getting packs of pencils for like 2 cents. So go on our Facebook. Ours is Anthony and Donna Mosier, OCC. But Operation Christmas Child has a website that I encourage you to go to, especially if you're going to have someone here that's going to kind of be heading up.
And whoever is going to head it up, I got a
We have a
package up here for you.
We have a whole package of all
And all
information.
this stuff, please feel free, except for my nativity family there. Take anything else that's on that.
Yes, all those materials are for you, for anyone. There's everything over there about what happens to a box, how to pack a box, stickers, a little bit of everything. But it's all for you. We get plenty
And
of stuff.
we're also always looking for volunteers. If any of you think you might want to be a team member,
There's information there also about the
Yes.
different areas that you can serve in. There's a lot of areas, but at the very least, please consider being on the prayer team, because we need people to pray for Operation Christmas Child throughout the year. And we have meetings throughout the
or
year.
just keep it on your prayer list here.
Yeah, definitely keep us on your prayer list. We would appreciate that. We're so thankful that you gave us the opportunity to come and speak to you about this. If you have more questions, we're available at any time. But we are just excited of churches that get involved with Operation Christmas Child, because it is such a great ministry, and it's changing the world one shoebox at a time.
It really is.
And we're thankful that y'all got involved here. And please let us know if you need help in any way with a packing party, with buying stuff.
And at, next intermission, check out the boxes.
Yes,
and
we've got
see-
boxes.
We've got some examples.
People can't believe what we can get into a box with all the items we can pack into a box. But
Last year, I feel very strongly that every child needs to have a water bottle. Every child needs to have a set of clothes, underwear, 2 pair, one to wash, one to wear, and a pair of shoes, and a spoon, and a fork. And if they're in school, they need school supplies, and they all need those hygiene supplies. And everybody's got, I don't care how old you are, you got to have a stuffed animal in there. And little boys get at least 2 Matchbox cars so that they can play, one in each hand. And as my granddaughter very quickly told me, she came and we had these little bitty dolls. And she had 3 of them in there, and I said, honey, did you mean to put 3 in there? She said, well, you're saying all the time that the boys need to have 2 Matchbox cars, so I wanted the girl to have 1 for each hand, and her sister to have 1 to play with too. So, You just go with it. I've got one bedroom right now that looks like a Dollar General store, and I'm not ashamed of it in the least. I'm very proud of my Dollar General store in my bedroom that will send lots of lovely gifts to children. And I can just about tell you if it's worth buying or it's not worth buying. And thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all so much.
We appreciate y'all.